the word औरत literally means female genitalia.
बट आज हमारे पास एक स्पेशल एडिशन ऑफ इंसल्ट्स है, दैट इज उर्दू इंसल्ट।
ये उर्दू लैंग्वेज कहाँ से आई? ये तो दिल्ली लखनऊ की लैंग्वेज है। तो पाकिस्तान ने लैंग्वेज भी उधार की ली हुई।
What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. Shakespeare. When Shakespeare wrote these lines, he wrote his own name under them. These lines sound profound, but when you delve deeper, you will understand it is musings of a teenager brain, not that of someone who is well read and wise. Some things are subtle, and they could only be grasped once you are observant enough. For example, the recent must talk about debate by Lullen Top.
Does God exist? क्या ईश्वर का अस्तित्व है?
Whether God or Ishwar exists. Both the debaters were Muslims who never used the word Ishwar or Bhagwan or God to refer to the ultimate power. Yet they chose God and Ishwar and debated about the existence of the same.
45,000 बच्चे जो 10 साल की उम्र से कम थे वो गाजा में मरे। अगर वो वाकई भी है व्हाट डिस्कशन से, तो मैं जब दुनिया देखता हूँ तो मेरे दिल में उसके लिए कोई इज्जत नहीं पैदा होती। क्या कर रहे हो?
आपने कहा कि किसी मजहबी किताब में डायनासोर का जिक्र नहीं है। अफसोस कि आज तक किसी मैथमेटिक्स की किताब में मुझे डायनासोर का जिक्र नहीं मिला।
Ever wondered why they didn't use Allah? Well, if they had used Allah, slogans of Sar Tan Se Juda would be now echoing on the streets of India, and Javed Chicha would be running for his life. In fact, Javed almost uttered Allah in front of this new doppelganger of Zakir Naik and said, sorry, balls of cotton, spine of a snake, or if I am wrong, then simply al-taqiya, i.e. deception as advised by the Holy Quran itself. Javed Mia, you can't fool people anymore, nor at least the Hindus who are aware and well-read. Yes, lefties can be enamored of you. Lefties and comrades of today don't read anything anyway, except garbage, web portals by legacy left-wing news media. Javed Mia, I think you pretend as a rational, a so-called atheist, but are a closeted jihadi, working for Islam. What's laughable is the debaters are both Muslims, but they didn't even use the Persian word Khuda, initially meant for Aura Mazda, which has now been appropriated by the Muslims of the Indian subcontinent and refers to Allah, albeit if you prefix it with the word true Khuda. Anyway, it is implied in most cases, yet many mullahs and scholars advise caution. It is because though Allah is the Khuda, but Khuda is not always the mighty Allah. No wonder why mullahs and devout Muslims yap over and over again, 5 times every day. There is no God but Allah.
And that one good deed is that this man used to say and believe, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah, and he truly believed this.
Because Allah is not the God, and God is not the Allah, but Allah is the true God of Muslims. So you see, names and words matter. In fact, the whole world is fighting over words and language, and nothing else. Language games, as mentioned in the Upanishads, and reiterated millennia later by Ludwig Wittgenstein, who famously said and wrote, the limits of my language mean the limits of my world, and that philosophy is a battle against the bewitchment of our intelligence by the means of language. It is words and names only that mean everything. Had jihadis and Islamists really believed that Allah means God and mean Ishwar too, there would have been no terrorist activities and no struggle for dominance through the demographic changes and systematically disincentivizing being a non-Muslim in a Muslim majority country through various means and tactics, which I need not to talk about. The fact is, it's all in the name. It's all in the bloody name. Words and language. Those who still believe, even after this, that names aren't important at all, I want to ask them a simple question. Why don't you name yourself or your children Bondu, Lallu, Nalla, Anari, Ullu, etc.? Or why not Khar, etc.? Sanskrit names are the in thing now, right? So why not Khar? Well, if you don't know what Khar is, please Google it. Point is, it is all in the name. Because a name has a context, a history, and carries with it an ideology, a construct. Consider the word jihad. It literally means struggle. But so does man camp, which literally means My struggle. The question is struggle against what? For that, you have to read Mein Kampf. Same is the case with the word jihad. No matter how much these moderates and progressives tell you, oh, jihad means internal struggle, spiritual, mental, don't believe them. They are all lying to you. It's all al-taqiyya, apologetics in action.
नबी ने फरमाया मैदान जंग की तमन्ना मत करो, लेकिन अल्लाह कह रहे हैं अगर जंग मुसल्लत हो जाए फजर पर रिकाब तो गर्दनों पे वार करो, फिर बुज़दिली नहीं आएगा।
To read, understand in what context the word jihad is used, you will have to read Quran and Sunnah, i.e. the Hadiths. Yes, don't be lazy and do research on your own. They are all available online with various authentic translations. One can visit Quran.com and Sunnah.com and read various translations of the same verses by different scholars. These are official websites. Even scholars refer to them. So please don't listen to me or follow anyone. Be a little active and inquisitive yourself and do your own research. Yes, depend on no one. This video should just be a beginning of your inquiry, not the end. Namaskar. This is author Abhidev and you are watching the TAVenture show. So let's begin. Before I go to the specific words as per the topic, let me reiterate why names and words are extremely important. Take the example of the term groundbreaking ceremony. Sounds nice, right? It is performed when the foundation of a building is laid. Now consider the Sanskrit and Hindi word for it. Bhumi Pujan. Notice any difference? It is in the attitude. It is in the worldview. Because Hindus consider everything an extension of God, i.e. Brahman, Paramatma. We worship the ground, Mother Earth, before laying the foundation, i.e. need, and take the blessings from her. Whereas the attitude of the Westerners is of apathy, if not disrespect. They don't consider the ground sacred. They don't care about the ecology, which is why groundbreaking. You see, it seems like an activity that requires conquering something, but for the Indians who call the same activity Bhumi Pujan, it is sacred. Do you get it now? Why are two languages never the same? Why do two words, even if they refer to the same thing or action, are never the same? In India, Bollywood, which is rightly called the Urduwood now by the Rashtrwadi people, spent entire 7 decades after freedom to push Urdu and Urdu words and make it mainstream. Many people say it is the Bollywood that taught them Hindi. True, Bollywood is one of the soft powers of India, but what it had been teaching people is not Hindi but Urdu, or at the very best Urdu as Hindi. They, the poets and shayars, the Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb people, created a narrative that Urdu is an extremely poetic language.
Where does Urdu language come from? Urdu originated in the region of the Ganges-Yamuna Doab in what is now western Uttar Pradesh, India. This area, particularly around Delhi, was a hub of cultural and linguistic exchange.
No language matches the beauty of Urdu. The fact is, not only Urdu is a colonial language, but it is also incomplete. It doesn't have proper grammar, doesn't have its own script either. It is a mismatch of Persian, Arabic, Sanskrit and pure Hindi, which originated in the state of Uttar Pradesh and was used by the Muslim rulers, courtiers.
Basically, Urdu took birth in the Mughal Empire. Okay, and it borrowed from several languages. Like, if you think about it, the word Urdu by itself is borrowed from a Turkish word. It means army or camp. Okay.
Why then, you may ask, it spread to the places like Pakistan and even Bangladesh now, when it is one of the languages of UP? The answer is, Muslims didn't have anything of their own in India. They were neither too literate to speak or write Persian, nor did they want to associate themselves with anything Hindu or Indian. So even a country like Pakistan adopted Urdu as its official state language, even when the majority of them were Punjabis. It's laughable, really. No one is as confused as the Pakistanis. They think they are the kinds of Turks and Arabs, but in reality, they are the Indians who converted to Islam. So bad the situation is that speaking one's mother tongue is considered uncouth in Pakistan and mocked and discouraged too. A Punjabi in Pakistan is ashamed of speaking Punjabi in public. A Sindhi is ashamed of speaking Sindhi. A Baloch is forced to speak in Urdu. I think you get it. You get the idea. So much they hate the Hindus and India that they adopted the language of Uttar Pradesh as their official language and impose it on everyone, treating it as an Islamic language.
There are over 70 distinct languages spoken across its regions, belonging to several major language families. So when Pakistan was created in 1947, its leaders needed a national language. But here's the catch. Pakistan was already home to dozens of languages. Punjabi, Sindhi, Pashto, Baluchi, Saraiki, and more. Choosing any one of these would have favored one province over others. So the founding fathers, including Muhammad Ali Jinnah, chose Urdu. It wasn't tied to any single ethnic group in Pakistan. It had Islamic roots, pan-Muslim appeal, and a long literary tradition. In short, Urdu was seen as neutral and uniting. But that choice came with consequences.
This is happening in southern India too. A famous example is that of Hyderabad. Instead of speaking Telugu and being proud of it, the Muslims prefer Urdu. Same is the case with Muslim ghettos in other South Indian states. Parties like DMK have a problem with Hindi, but not with Urdu.
The language war which is reigniting in Tamil Nadu. DMK MP Kanimori has slammed Hindi imposition in the state. She says, and I'm quoting here, this bacterium of Hindi imposition which spreads everywhere like an infection must be contained.
Nothing can get as funny and retarded than this. The worst case is now Bangladesh, a country created with Bangla identity as the primary motivation, is slowly drifting towards Urdu and Urdu words. Just because Muslims consider the language in question as the Slavic one. It is only when they meet an Arab when they come to know that true place. The Arabs respect Hindi and Hindus more than they respect the recent converts who speak Urdu. Yes, Arabs and Turks consider Urdu as uncouth. Uno reverse card. Really. Anyway, since Bollywood was initially owned by these pseudo-intellectuals and later by the Pakistani drug mafia, they pushed Urdu in the fiercest way as it was possible. So bad the situation now that if I call my friend as Mitra or Parth instead of Dost or Yar, people will view me as if I am an alien from another planet. Shatru became Dushman, Akash and Ambar became Asman, Dharti became Zameen, Jal became Pani. The situation is extremely bad. Had it not been Hindi dubbed English movies and foreign dramas, and of course channels like National Geographic and Discovery, people would have forgotten Shudh Hindi words. They would have completely forgotten it. But because of these channels and these dubbed movies, they know pure Hindi, at least in theory. Thanks to such dubbed programs, people are still aware of Shudh Hindi words. Yes, even if they don't use them in the daily conversation. I highly respect my non-Hindi brothers and sisters, as they have still kept their language Sanskritized. For example, our Bangla Bandhus still use Jol for Jal. Our Telugu brothers still use Shatruhu for Shatru. Hats off to them and their resilience despite the systematic plan to impose this colonial language Urdu. They have stood firm. Now many people will ask, why am I so harsh? After all, Urdu was born in India only, specifically in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh. Well, the origin or birthplace of anything doesn't change the fact that it is not colonial. General Dyer was born in India, brought up in India. So was he an Indian? As against this, we have people like Carolina Goswami, David Foley, Conrad Elst, and countless ISKCON devotees who are white, were born outside India. Yet they are more Indian and Hindu when it comes to their consciousness compared to most Indians, especially the English educated big cities elites. So a person can be born in India and brown and still be an Anglo-Saxon when it comes to worldview and thought process. I think you all get it. Origin and birthplace of an idea, person or a thing doesn't automatically make it a part of that place. Foreign ideas and narratives are born in India all the time. Urdu is a colonial language and I have no qualm saying that, even though our Indian government consider Urdu as one of the official languages of India. Anyway, let's come to the brass tacks and talk about the Urdu words which we should stop using altogether. Number 1, the word aurat. I think you already know about it, but I must explain it to those who are still unaware and living under the dark. The word aurat comes from Arabic aura, which literally means female genitalia and defectiveness. It was adopted by the Persian as a word for woman and later by Muslim colonists who orgasmed at the mere sound of Persian words, considering it Islamic and made it a part of Urdu vocabulary.
औरत शब्द 16th सेंचुरी में हमारे देश में इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ। उससे पहले हम स्त्री या नारी ही बोलते थे। आया कहां से ये शब्द? अरबिक लैंग्वेज से, अरबी भाषा जो आक्रमणकारी अपने साथ लेकर भारत आए थे। अरबी में एक शब्द है अवरा, इसके दो अर्थ हैं, इंग्लिश में जेनाइटल्स और न्यूडिटी, हिंदी में योनि और नग्नता। तो जिसके पास अवरा है यानी योनि है, फीमेल जेनाइटल, वही औरत है।
Imagine reducing the entire womankind to mere vagina and clitoris, making the private parts of female human her entire identity. So disgusting this word is that I feel ashamed that North Indians use it on a daily basis in India. One should never refer to a woman as aurat. Even pseudo and woke feminists should agree with me and be on the same page. Never call a woman aurat. Call her mahila, nari, stri instead. Return to our Shuddh Hindi roots. Reject the Bollywood's stratagem of imposing the Urduized Hindi on Indians. Number 2, the words Shaheed and Shahadat. These are a bit tricky ones and not many people know about them. People use it for freedom fighters like Bhagat Singh and even martyred soldiers. Yes, the word Shaheed means a martyr. But for what cause? The answer is Islam. Anyone who gives his or her life for the cause of Islam, especially while waging jihad or in a war against the infidels, is called a shaheed.
शहीद जो अपने मौला को देखकर अल्लाह के खुले की गवाही देता है, इसलिए उसे शहीद कहा जाता है कि वक्त रूह, वक्त इंफिसाल, वक्त शहादत उसकी निगाहों के सामने अल्लाह का हुस्न और अल्लाह का जलवा हुआ करता है.
Yes, the word literally means that and comes from the Arabic shahad, which means to testify, i.e. it is all about commitment to Islam. Though we should never use shaheed for our martyrs, be it soldiers or freedom fighters who gave up their lives. We should use balidan, balidani, veer gati, pran tyag, etc. The word shahadat, i.e. used for martyrdom, should also be avoided. It comes from shaheed and from the word shahada, the first of the 5 pillars of Islam, which is the declarations of one's faith in Islam. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I think it's clear now. Both Shaheed and Shahadat is about giving up one's life for the cause of Islam. So we should stop using both Shaheed and Shahadat altogether. Number 3, Zalim, Zulm, Zulmi. Again, the context in which these words were used, i.e. the origin, lies under the ambit of Islam. Anyone who is harming the cause of Islam or doing something against it or simply existing as a non-believer is a Zalim, and the act is Zulm. If you don't believe me, find out the origin of words Zalim, Zulm and Zulmi yourself. Everywhere except in India, wherever these words are used, they describe the non-Muslims and bad Muslims and their acts. So we should stop using these words too. Instead, we should use Atyachari, Dusht, Krur, Anyayi, Nirdeyi, as these are Hindi words and not religion specific. And their origins don't even consider Islam, Christianity or any other faith at all. It is the same case like dharma, which loosely translates to duty as per your inner voice, which is why we should always say Hindu dharma or Sanatan dharma and never Hinduism or Hindu religion. The dharma of the Hindus is not a religion or a faith, neither is an ism. Ism is attached to a particular ideology or a person representing a particular ideology. For example, Marxism, Communism, Thatcherism, and the list is endless. The Abrahamics themselves never use Christianism, Islamism for their own faith, except Judaism, of course, but they shove this word Hinduism upon us. Anyway, this is a topic for another video. Let's proceed to the next words. Number 4, Imandar, Baiman, Baimani. I think most people are clear about this too. Iman means faith, and again it is an Islamic context. Imandar actually means one who has complete faith in Islam and shows it and proves it with his or her deeds. Beiman is basically a non-Muslim, be it a person of the book, i.e. a Christian or a Jew, or be it a mushrik, i.e. a Hindu like me. Outside India and even within the Muslim society in India, within the closed doors, it is implicit that Beiman means one who doesn't have faith in Islam. And Beimani, the condition or act of not showing faith in Islam. So instead of Imandar, we should use Satyanisht, Nishthavan, Vishwashnei, etc. Even Sacha is fine. For Beiman, we should be using Kapti, Durjan, Anyayi, Chaliya, etc. Number 5, Kamina. You will be thinking why I am discussing a word which is a cuss word, a gali, when there are worse cuss words that the Muslim ruler gave us, i.e. sex and incest related, mother-sister ones. The point is, though these words are bad, they are not derogatory of someone's caste, occupation, etc. The word Kamina, however, comes from the word Kameen, which the Muslim royalty used to describe in a derogatory way to refer to their servants who did the menial and dirty work. Kamina literally means Kameen like. So if you are referring as Kamina to anyone, you are literally saying that they are Kameen like. Kameen itself most probably comes from Kami, which means lack or lacking something. So Kameens of Muslim royalty lacked honor, intelligence, etc. Therefore, we should stop using Kamina, and if possible, we should stop using curse words like MCBC, etc. too. They are constant reminders of how the invaders reduced women to mere sex objects. Like Japanese, Hindi and Sanskrit too never had these sex-related abuses and curse words. It was the Westerners who introduced them, and they became a part of our daily usage. I know it's nearly impossible, but in this case, it is better that we should switch to English. There is something about the phonetics that English expletives don't invoke in us, the same disgusting feeling as these Urduized Hindi expletives. Well, I think by now you already have the idea about these Urdu words.
Kutta, Kamina, Haram Zada.
Hidayat is not advice, but Islamic advice. Talim is not education, but Islamiyat. Islamic education of Holy Quran, Sunnah, Tafsir, Tariq, and localized Islamic texts such as Fatwa-e-Alamgiri, etc. The Jayas and Jayas are in the context of Sharia law. Ghazi is not a warrior, but a warrior who fights against the non-Muslims and infidels. A little advice, check the names of the great souls of the people buried in the mazars you are visiting. Many of them have Ghazi in their name. Yes, be wary who you are going down to. Don't use haram khor and the worst curse word containing the prefix haram and ending with I. You already know what is haram and halal. It's all Islamic and as per Sharia. Don't use saf, use swach instead of saf. Insaf, nainsafi, well everything is nainsafi to Muslims where they are not in majority. We are doing nainsafi simply by existing as non-Muslims and following our legal systems and practicing our way of life. There are many other Urdu words too worth mentioning, but I don't want to make this video too long. Just remember that many Urdu words you are using in your daily life have something to do with Islam or are in the context of Islam or Sharia. Now I am not saying not to speak Urdu. Those who want to speak Urdu should speak Urdu. Those who want to speak English should speak English. Both are languages of the colonizers. But you see, speaking and learning English makes sense. Whether you like it or not, English is now the language of the world. It is what that acts as a bridge throughout the globe. It is the most widely used language. So learning and speaking English makes sense. But learning Urdu? Do you want to shift to Pakistan or what? It is a language of no consequence. Neither you are getting any job, nor it is spoken widely to act as a bridge. And the thing is, the Arabs and Turks actually consider it uncouth and regard it as the language of the unpure Muslims, i.e. those who are recent converts and have no Turkish and Arabic blood in their veins. My point is, don't Urduize Hindi. Speak whatever language you want to, but don't corrupt Hindi language with dirty words like aurat or pure Islamic words like shaheed, shahadat, etc. Hindi already has too many synonyms. If you forget one, use another. Don't feel awkward saying Mitra instead of dost. Instead, be the one amongst the first who will normalize it, as this Urduwood loses its importance with time. Well, that's it. In the end, I would like to thank you for reaching this far. If you believe this video is helping the Hindu cause, do contribute to support the Hindu narrative. If you can't contribute, then please like, share and subscribe. I believe this video should reach as many people as it can. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye.